Welcome back again. We're in session 3 of the Unlearning Curve. Joining me is Karl the Great. We've got JD Forehand, and I'm Stuart Delony. If you want to reach out to us at all, ask questions, call us heretics, call us morons, whatever you want to call us, email us at theunlearningcurvepodcast at gmail.com. This session, I guess, is kind of just, this is mine, and it's a real broad topic, and I think we can play around with some of this, but it was coming from an article I wrote about kind of losing my suspension of disbelief in kind of everything lately. And for those that don't know what suspension of disbelief means, it's kind of the thing that that brings us. I don't know. I'm probably not even going to say this completely right, but I know at least for me, from like a movie standpoint, it's the idea that like does this universe make sense, even if it's like fantasy or sci-fi or whatever else? Like, we're establishing this place with rules, and it needs to make sense to us as well. In film, that's suspension of disbelief. If you wreck it, people check out. They don't pay attention to the story that's happening. They need to feel like it's real. And I guess where I'm coming at stuff is because I feel like all of this, I felt like my suspension of disbelief is breaking, because even further, I've been pondering just my time in Christianity and beginning to realize how much, like, we were given hope in so many different things, which were just kind of like inherited thoughts or inherited wishful thinking. And like some of those were just like, if we pray hard enough, God will intervene. Or if you vote the right way, the country will heal. Or if you stay pure and humble, life rewards you. Or serve the church and your future has purpose. There are all these kind of like these things that we have inherited. We were raised believing these, a lot of them, because it's what our parents were told as well too. And we kind of just continue to pass these things forward as if they are true, but they're not. The more I've been able to realize all of this, and I guess walking through a lot of this, is that for me, it's like institutions are the ones that are selling this on us, selling these ideas. But these institutions promise us meaning, but they only just deliver maintenance to us. And they exist to preserve themselves and not us. And so I feel like, been running on other people's messaging for a long time, and I feel like we have to learn how to come up with more of that. Thoughts? That's the general idea.
Hell yeah, become an anarchist. That's what I'm hearing right now. Stop buying into these fucking hierarchies of bullshit that people are trying to sell these. Everything is a fucking multi-level marketing scheme nowadays, and I don't know. I think hierarchies and stuff like that, like of like institutions trying to sell you bullshit, is just. I think I also grew tired of that a long time ago, and yeah, to some degree, you have to just. I wouldn't say like become cynical, but I think you really have to be super skeptical of, especially of, again, large conglomerate groups. I think of individuals, we should be kind and welcoming and, hear people out and stuff like that. But anything, especially anything that's built on making money, I'm super skeptical. I generally approach it as like, this is going to be bad, which is maybe the wrong approach. Maybe I should approach it more neutrally, but yeah, it's really hard for me to approach it in any other light.
When I wrote something one time called "The Church Doesn't Have Room for Our Grief," and the thought there is that when we come across a difficult problem, then our anxiety kicks up, and that makes us uncomfortable. So we want to soothe that as quick as we can, but then religious organizations and groups of all kinds do something they accuse the adversary of doing, mix a little truth with whatever soothes them immediately, right? So they, you might say that I just want you to calm down. I just want things to go back to normal. And so here's a platitude, or here's something that you need to trust in. And it's not really addressing the problem, because as we talk about so many times, the solutions, the best solutions are hard. It's just exactly like Trump trying to make a deal with Iran in 2 days that was already there, that it took Obama 15 months and negotiations and various meetings, and Trump tore that agreement up and now wants to attack them and then make the agreement in 2 seconds, right? And so churches like that, right? And groups are like that, and people are like that we just want to get out of the uncomfortable. So what's the easiest thing to do? Not what's the practice that'll work over the long haul, not the hard work of getting better. It's what's the easiest solution right now, And that's just to trust God, which means pushing it down, right? Ignoring things that are obvious, distrusting our humanity, distrusting our intuition, and, make a platitude, this is my standard answer for everything, and blah, blah, blah. So,
Karl, do you think
cliches?
Do you think, like, the way you're describing that, I'm curious, it almost sounds like a system that creates mental health problems.
It does.
I mean,
it absolutely does. It does.
I mean, like, don't trust your gut, don't trust your eyes, just listen to us, all this other kind of stuff. At some point, it has to fuck with you mentally. I mean, when your realities become so warped,
Things like taking that verse that says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So there's a whole coping mechanism in Christianity about that. It comes out in things like Jesus first, others second, yourself last. T. Leving says the problem with that scenario is you never have time for yourself. And in reality, as far as your mental health and your stability, the best thing is to put yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And they even mix up that metaphor with the oxygen mask and so on. Put yourself first so that you'll be equipped to help other people.
Yeah.
And then my suggestion is put yourself first, help others, and then see if you even need Jesus at all.
Or what the fuck does it honestly mean to put Jesus first?
Right.
I know the churches will be able to have an answer for that.
It really means the pastor and the church.
It's whatever we're telling you to put first.
I can't find my purpose.
Or selfishly yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
It is important to put yourself first, but not in a way that is just like makes it the easiest for me and I can just say platitudes and then fuck off and do whatever I want. It's like, no, you got to actually fucking take care of yourself, which means do the fucking hard work like you were mentioning earlier.
Absolutely. Stuart, are we getting off your topic?
No, I don't have I have no agenda for this. This is all just interesting conversation.
I was going to say, I think it fits with one of the quotes that I really like from that, which is that where it's close to the beginning where you say, like, pray hard enough and God intervenes, vote the right way and the country heals, stay pure and humble and life rewards you, serve the church and your future has purpose. It's just fucking platitudes. Just do whatever you just do the things we say. Basically follow, shut the fuck up and do what the organization or the institution or the hierarchy says and you'll be fine. But if you poke your head up like you're in a fucking, you're in trench warfare in World War I, you're going to get your head blown off.
Yeah. And it's insane, but it's insane. I just feel like all of this, and I feel like that we're at a place now where it feels like corporations and everything else are kind of running how a lot of us are thinking, either through algorithms or through everything else. And I think that we're people that are so tied to wanting to have our identity connected to something larger. We oftentimes just abandon who we are as individuals in our day-to-day lives as well, too. I just don't. I see people becoming more and more sheep and just walking mindlessly after whatever master is leading them right now. And I think that we're promised answers. We're given nothing besides just empty hope that we continue to walk through. But I guess it keeps us in that need part. It always keeps us needing something. We're not enough.
Codependency. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the term suspension of disbelief. So help me with that, because I understand what you're saying, and I read your article. I understand what you're saying in the article, but the phrase doesn't quite connect. I'm missing a couple of things there.
Well, you're trying to. At least I learned the phrase first when I was taking like film class back in college as well too.
Okay.
So the idea is like when we're walking into a movie theater and we're going to sit and we're going to watch something. We need to make something that tells us whatever we're watching is true. And we're trying to suspend the disbelief that we're kind of walking into. I think I'm saying this right, JD, maybe?
Yeah, so skepticism.
Yeah, so it's kind of like almost like, you want to walk in the theater, and I want to believe that guy is flying a starship, and it needs to make sense in case of story, in case of a bunch of other stuff, but it's how our mind, we can connect in with story that way.
You're basically setting aside some level of like your critical thinking to just go like, okay, I'm in a movie or I'm reading a book. Like, I know this is ridiculous, but I don't give a shit about that. I want to be engaged with the story. So you're setting those things aside and going, okay, I'm engaged. It's kind of there's some relationship to like the uncanny valley and things like that as well, but that's a little bit of a tangent. But yeah, it's basically you're just going to you can allow yourself, again, suspension of disbelief, because like we all know that Star Wars isn't real, like Stuart was kind of alluding to, or we all know that like SpongeBob isn't. There's no someone who lives in a pineapple under the sea. for the fact of like we want to engage with this thing, we're going to set aside the fact that we know that's ridiculous. That's
so unfortunately that happens then in church, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that's the connection. You want to go in each week and say, this guy's going to tell me what to think, right? Even though we don't ever phrase it that way.
Well, because generally when you're watching a movie, the movie is not trying to literally convince you that Star Wars is real. Like,
Right.
it's entertainment. You know, it's not literally trying to do that. But in churches, like, we are literally trying to do that with people. We're literally trying to tell them, like, yeah, what you are seeing is not, don't trust your eyes. Don't trust your senses. Trust what's in here.
Yeah, if I could go back and do it again, I would relish having a group of 10 guys in a Bible study that all questioned me. But when I was in it, I didn't want any of that. I didn't want the questioning. I said I did. I said wanted people to think for themselves. Yeah, now I would say bring your disbelief and let's talk about it.
And I think some of this too, what these institutions tell us, and you push back if I'm being wrong about this one, I feel like they all tell us that we're very special, that we're special, that there's a huge purpose for us, that all of this. And in all reality, if we're just trying to be honest, we're on a planet that is in the middle of a galaxy that's surrounded by other galaxies. That we're like time and everything, we're not significant. We're not special.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You are special if you'll listen to me. If you do what I say.
Yeah, but I think sometimes that we have to have this grandiose thing about ourselves and about the universe and who we're believing and how we're following, because it makes us feel bigger. And I think the truth of it is I think that we have to be okay with living small lives, because that's all we have.
My friend calls it the high of righteousness.
It's also a much better way to make the world a better place, is actually to do small shit in like your community and like the relationships that you have, as opposed to like, but I think it's also it's becoming a global thing, but I think it's especially like an American thing of like, I'm going to become this celebrity, or I'm going to become a millionaire, I'm going to make it rich, and then I'm going to change the world. Even though none of the billionaires and millionaires or whatever, like, those people don't change the world, or at least not for the better. They do change the world, but they usually make it like shittier. And so it's like, you're not gonna affect anything that way anyway. So why would you even want, like, that's, at least as I've gotten older, I think when I was younger, I wanted those kind of things, like, oh, I am special, and like, yeah, we're all unique in our own certain way and our own circumstances.
Sure.
But that's fine to have that in the micro sense. But like, to try to pretend like you're that special, like, there's, that goes back to the old thing of nothing's new under the sun. Like, you aren't special. And again, like Stuart, like you said, that's okay. It's okay. Embrace that and be unique in your own little way, in your own little community. But let's all stop trying to be fucking famous, because number one, it's gross. Number two, it generally means that you get corrupted by the power and fame and everything else.
That's what always gets me. Like, why is it like with a billionaire? Like, why is 1 billion never enough? Like, at that level, like, your brain can't even conceive of like really what $1 billion is to happen. It's be like, oh, but I need more of that. I feel like what you end up seeing with these folks that are at the top, they just keep consuming. They just want more. They're still running with their own lies that they were given as well too, because it's never enough. It's never enough, and I think that I think it's scary for people to say that, like, what would it look like if we lived a small, honest life in the midst of a broken world and just tried to find meaning in that? Because this world is broken and it sucks and it's hard, and not broken because of sin. It's broken because there's so many fucking systems that continue to keep breaking it and keeping us oppressed. But I don't know. I think that somehow, like, being able to be okay with living a small life that's significant to you and maybe those around you, I don't know. I just think that's the better way to go.
I think that's how you break out of those systems too, though, is you stop buying into them and you go, okay, yeah, like, I mean, let's all be honest with ourselves a little bit here. Like, this is probably a little bit hypocritical, a little bit rich, coming from guys who are on a podcast, who are on YouTube and different podcast services. But like, we're not trying to rat race this thing. We're just kind of showing up and doing it. And if people listen, they listen, but whatever. It's an exercise. But I think that's what you have to be okay with, of just like, I'm just going to exist in my space, and I'm going to try to talk to people, and I'm going to try to, but I think existing outside of those systems, because that's really the only way that you can kind of mitigate them to a degree, is like if you stop buying into them. Because if you constantly are chasing those things, like, number one, you're almost never going to get there. Like, statistically speaking, like none of us, and I mean like the vast majority of people in the world are never going to be billionaires, let alone millionaires. So like, and chasing those things, usually what it involves is a bunch of consumerism, and that just feeds those people who are already on the top, who already have so much power that they can rig the game in their system, in their favor, excuse me. So like, it's like, just fucking opt out of the system, man, and take care of your friends and family, and do mutual aid and stuff like that. Like, take care, do like hashtag Jesus shit, and fucking like take care of your neighbor. Like that, and that should be good enough. Like, I don't understand why we can't just be fulfilled with that. But I do think if people start buying into that kind of system, where you are just dealing with the people around you, it's like so much more fulfilling than like, because I do like the photography stuff, and like there have been times when I just like really, really try to hustle, and like, you know, there's a medium ground there, because like I have to sell photos to like make enough money to fucking pay my rent. But like there's a line there where it's just like, eventually you're just trying to play the game too much, where it's just like, it's not fulfilling. Like, I'm not doing this for photography's sake anymore. I'm just trying to play the algorithm, and I'm not about that. It's just like, no, I'm just going to post my photography and like sell books to my friends and stuff. And if that's all I get, then that's all I get, but that's fine. It's fulfilling in and of itself. And I think if you're doing something that isn't fulfilling in and of itself, again, taking care of your neighbor, hanging out with your friends, going to a movie, going to a bar, whatever it is, then you're doing the wrong thing.
The stage is not just controlling. It is controlling, but it's also where everybody in the audience imagines themselves being on the stage. Every Taylor Swift concert has tens of thousands of little girls imagining themselves being on the stage. So that's part of it. I just wanted to say, after my heart attack, I went back and sat in the principal's office, and the 3 boys that I mentor and tutor came to see me, and a couple of them hugged me. And then I'm finally now on the track where I can go back and have a regular schedule with them for the last few weeks of school. So Wednesday, 2 days ago, I sat in the teacher's workroom, and they came in, and for 4th and 5th graders, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader, a 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader came to me and sat down and talked for 30 minutes. It's amazing to me. And all I did was ask some questions and listen to them. And that felt better at this point in my life than standing on the stage. At times, JD can, there's times during my pastorates that I got great response, and people may have even clapped at times, right? Not that much in small churches, right? And especially when they're in reserved areas and Nebraska and so on. And people told me every time, "Wow, great sermon. You stepped on my toes, blah, blah, blah." None of that felt as good as Wednesday. It was so fulfilling, just to have a kid tell me.
That's
what
so
you're talking
human,
about with the churches. That's
beautiful.
It's a stage, and it's performative. But like, I think what you said, that kind of thing where you're literally building relationships, is like what Stuart talks about in the article about building meaning with your own hands. Like, you're actually building it yourself. You're building community. You're in there doing it. Whereas, again, like, preaching is literally performative. Like, you're going up there and trying to rouse people with a speech, and you're doing the hand motions, and you got the slides and all that stuff. And like, if you go in there in community and like build it yourself, and it's not performative, you get those kind of feelings. I have that with my students all the time too. And it's way better than getting any applause at the end of the thing and everyone saying their platitudes to you.
Well, I think too, Karl, like, you had a beautiful human response, to being able just to sit there and share presence with those kids who just wanted to be heard. And I thought, like, on the flip side, because you can also have pastors that will get the praise and stuff, and they may even get a little tear-eyed. Oh, thank you. That's too much. Oh, give me more. But that, again, that's a self-serving. That's a it's all about me situation, which, again, it's you're just consuming people then at that point. But you being able to sit just on the level with somebody else, no hierarchy, you didn't need anything out of these kids. You were just being people that were just sharing space and sharing words. Yeah, I don't know. That's not gonna be something that's gonna get you a yacht or anything else like that too. But I think that's a lot more fulfilling than having a yacht. But I've never had a yacht, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I bet the yacht's pretty sick,
you know,
but it also, I think, leads to a better world than having a yacht. It's a lot less. There's a lot less carbon in the atmosphere of you talking to kids. Like there's a little bit because they're talking, and kids can talk a fucking lot, but probably less than a super yacht. Go ahead, Dad.
I do admit that I have thoughts like I should organize grandpas for grade schoolers and, get more people to do this and make it bigger. There's always kind of that pull, but the principal has become a good friend of mine. We go out and have lunch sometimes. And he saw how they reacted to me the first time and that we had built a relationship. And he at least gets it enough to know, and he's done it long enough to know that these are the things that really matter. And parents scream and probably cuss him out and all kinds of things. And he's trying to be trauma informed and he struggles with that. And the board wants him to be more disciplinarian, and all those struggles. It's just, I'm glad that at least for the rest of my life, I've at least come to this point where I can recognize that these are the things that matter. What matters about this podcast for me more is that we come together and talk and air our frustrations and listen to each other and talk about getting better. And it sounds self-serving to say, I don't care who listens. I kind of do, right? But the fact that we're connecting with ourselves first is what matters.
Yeah, this podcast is really just therapy for all of us, just us three. So if people listen to it, it's like, oh, really?
Really? Somebody listened?
Facts. I don't think I've ever heard from anyone besides Mom that listens, to be honest. It's okay with me. I recorded a podcast for like 350 episodes where I think I heard feedback from 3 people. We had a couple hundred listeners, but like it was the same thing. It was just like it was more for me. And I think that's okay. And I think it's this. What I was also going to say, sorry to cut you off again, but I don't think it's wrong to say, hey, I want to encourage other people to do this. I think where we go wrong is I want to build this institution and this hierarchy where I'm at the top and I'm kind of managing and sending people. Like, I think it's great to go, hey, I do this thing, you should go do this thing too. And that's the end of the conversation. Or this is how I do it, maybe give a little advice, but that's it. But when we say, oh, I want to build this thing that gets famous that I can rise to the top of, I think that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah. Stuart, you were Southern Baptist, right? For a bit.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. They always had
I know you are.
They always had this mantra of start something new, right? You should always be starting something new, even if it's not good, right? Just start something new and maybe it'll develop in something and then we'll develop our organization.
But that's where it goes. We'll develop that organization. It's kind of trying to like do something like assembly line, help people. We're trying to just automate this in a certain sense. Like I loved how in our first session we were talking with Kyle Butler, and he was even talking about, he's like, I hated evangelizing. He was like, and I was terrible at it because I didn't care about people. I just cared about being on the stage. And he was really honest about those during his those years. And I honestly think there's probably a lot of pastors that would be too afraid to admit that to even themselves, that they are there more for the accolades and they are actually out for honestly trying to save people, even if you believe you're saving people. And I don't know. I just think that I come to a point where it was like when I started thinking about all these systems and everything else, I just came to a point of saying like, well, everybody else tells us what matters. And I came to a place of saying like, I don't think anything matters. And I think meaning is kind of what we need to make it. And it's kind of a freeing thing to say that. Like, if well, okay, fine. If nothing matters, then anything can matter. And I think but that can be scary for us, and that can be scary for people. Like, you don't want a pastor just preaching, like, just go out and just be curious, see where your curiosity is taking you, and things like that too.
Or listen to people. Go listen to some people.
Yeah, I mean, and so they'd never say that. They would never say that kind of a thing. Yeah. No, yeah, listen to us. Only listen to us, and give us money.
So wrapping up your topic, I respect you two guys, and I want to hear from you, but skepticism is a good thing, right?
I think so.
So if I do go to church, I'm not going in like the movie. I'm not going in saying this is just entertainment and I'm going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
We could probably enjoy church now if that was it, right? But I need to be skeptical, right? And say, this doesn't align with reality. It doesn't align with my humanity. It's not, even productive spiritually. I need to be skeptical. And in my life, JD taught me to do that. He probably didn't think he's making any progress for a while, but there's another thing.
Bits and starts.
There's another thing that my friend taught me, like dealing with children, saying, when they say, this happened, and blah, 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 it means this, and I'm stupid, and blah, blah, blah. She says, what if that's not true? What would be more true about this situation? And it kind of pulls us out of that, of just going with what's natural and what we think we hear and what we think we should believe and what they said we should believe, and saying, what if that's not true? Because that's the root of deconstruction. Yeah. Right? What if all this is not true? Mm-hmm. And I said God could handle my skepticism. Right?
You'd hope. Yeah.
If he's there, he can handle it. He's a superior being. So I think it's okay to be skeptical. I don't, you need to take that word to where you're abusive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You
can't just berate people that aren't equipped to argue, right? And things like that. But to say, well, I'm not convinced, and if you want to try to convince me, do that in a loving way. But I need to be skeptical. I'm rambling. Go ahead.
No, skepticism. I think there's healthy skepticism. I mean, I think that if you're at a place where you trust nothing, then that's kind of paranoia. But I think having some sort of like healthy skepticism of stuff. I mean, yes, it's how our brain should work. I feel like one of the biggest things coming out of deconstruction is just learning that we don't need to ask for permission to do a lot of things. And I think that we were raised in instances where there was authorities in the church and they all knew better than us, and they did all this stuff to teach us to never trust our guts. And coming out of like deconstructing, it's kind of learning, what is my gut? How do I trust this? How do I trust my senses? Yeah, it's okay to ask questions, because generally, if you're around systems that don't like questions, I think you already have your answer about the system.
Yeah.
Some of those
it's got to be based on evidence, which requires you to ask questions and test things, test all things and keep what is good and such. So, I mean, that's like literally the scientific method. You have to be skeptical, and you also have to, even if you have some experience, I mean, initial experience is anecdotal. You need to keep testing. But yeah, I think, again, you do have to trust some of the data that you have, whether it's from other people or whether it's your own experience that you've. The other thing is that our own experience is subjective, and depending on what mood we're in or whatever, like we may interpret it incorrectly. So we need to be very, I guess, measured in how we look at our own experiences. But certainly, I think you do have to start to trust certain things. Otherwise, you're just going to be a paranoid individual for your whole life.
It was very eye-opening to me in my denomination when I finally sit down and took a hard look at some things and asked people some hard questions. And I realized, no, I don't mean this I don't want to be real derogatory or anything, but some of those guys literally weren't very smart. I'm not trying to be mean about that. It's just that they had a standard set of answers. If you asked anything deeper than that, they're like, hey, just trust in God. They really didn't have any answers, because I had a deficiency in my father, who wasn't always there and had a couple of affairs and so on. So he wasn't there to give me wisdom. And I always wanted to go to those men, and say, some answers, some silver bullets, how, and answer some of these questions.
No.
I want to know how to succeed, and I want to know how to do better. And I found out they really didn't have any answers. They might have been a good salesman. They might have been fluent and good looking and, able to draw a crowd. But when you questioned them about things that really matter, they didn't really have the answers.
You bring up something interesting.
Shit of having platitudes and cliches. Sorry. Go ahead, Stuart.
No, but Karl, think about this. Pastors writing sermons. Usually the sermons, they already have the facts of what they're already going to be speaking about. So a lot of pastors will feel like they do learn, but they're only learning by looking for factoids to put around or make their sermon more interesting with little factoids or other illustrations. Yeah, but
it's working backwards from your conclusion.
Yeah, yes. It's because you're never challenging what you're actually coming up with. So all you're really trying to do is you're just trying to make yourself sound more interesting or more right, and you're just insulating again away from any kind of real thinking because you already have all the answers. And so it's never about thinking with them. They already have the answers.
Well, and again, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to think about those things and think I might be wrong, or maybe I have to change something about myself, or maybe I'm the problem, whatever it is, those things are uncomfortable. And people in general, whether we're talking about pastors or just, regular people, myself included, it doesn't feel good to be fuck, it may be me that's the problem. And I'm going to have to change something because it's not easy to change yourself. Or even if it's just something minor about whatever your personality or your habits or whatever it is, it's tough. But I mean, again, it's the same thing as everyone wants to get rich and become rich and famous just because, I posted one video, or I, like you were talking about Dad earlier, Taylor Swift pulled me up on stage and I sang the song with her, and now everyone subscribed to my YouTube, and now I'm just that's what everyone wants, is just a quick, I hit the lotto kind of shit, which fair enough. That feels like it would be nice, but it's not real. Number one, it's not realistic. And two, if you got to that place, you'd probably have a complete mental breakdown. Sorry, go ahead.
No, JD, you're mentioning that. It's like lottery thinking. What we're talking about, again, going back to your special, you've got a chance at winning. You really can, because we've seen a few people that have won. So it's not a total lie, but it's basically
happened. And the trick is that most of those people who are quote unquote self-made millionaires and billionaires are actually were born rich already. It's they already had, again, born on third base, thought they hit a triple. So it's possible. There are people that, slumdog millionaired it, but for the most part, that doesn't happen. It's very, very rare. It's probably more rare than hitting the lottery, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they just suck up to Peter Thiel, and anyway.
But even then, it's most people that suck up to Peter Thiel don't make it any. That's your a guy that lives in his mom's basement sucks up to Peter Thiel. Yeah. It's the same people that suck up to their pastor or whoever it is. It's just that's not a way to get rich quick. A way to get rich is to exploit people and be a piece of shit. Again, and it makes mega pastors.
People feel successful by association, which is also why I think mega churches feel good. Because it's ooh, I'm a part of this big thing. Look what I do.
People like Elon Musk, Trump, all those people. Because or the same reason people find religion is because it's confirmation bias, and it also gives you an immediate in group. It immediately puts you in the in group, and anyone that you see wearing a MAGA hat or whatever, you can be we're the same. Even though if you actually were brave enough to have a full conversation with that person also wearing a MAGA hat, you'd probably end up fighting about something or at least disagreeing. Maybe you wouldn't fight if you're reasonable people, but if you're wearing a MAGA hat, probably not reasonable. Anyway, but you would probably find something to disagree about if you're honest, or maybe you're just too dumb to have any sort of opinion, so you're just going to go along to get along no matter what. That's also, I guess, an option. But what a shitty way to live your life. Couldn't be me.